All right, welcome back. Today, we are going inside the machine that really kicked off the AI revolution. We're going to crack open that black box, AlexNet, and see exactly how a computer finally, truly learned to see.
So, just a quick recap from last time. We saw how for decades, some of the brightest minds on the planet tried to teach computers to see by handcrafting these super rigid rules. Trying to define every single object. And it just didn't work. It was a total failure. The real world was just too complex, too messy. The whole field had hit a wall.
And this is where the revolution really begins. You can see the shift right here. We went from the old way, where humans were the architects, trying to spell out every single rule, to the AlexNet way. And what's the big difference? Well, now the machine learns the important stuff itself, directly from the data. It's a huge leap from this stiff, shallow analysis to a deep, multi-layered approach that can actually adapt and learn on its own.
So that's the big question, right? How does a machine stop just following a bunch of rules and start actually learning to see? How do you go from being like a fancy calculator checking an engineer's notes to a system that has something like visual intuition? What's going on under the hood?
This quote right here, this just nails it. The creators of AlexNet basically said, look, we can't program the curve of a car fender. We can't define the texture of a mushroom. It's impossible. So instead of programming the content of the mind, they decided to program the structure of the brain. They built the framework, the architecture, and then let the data pour in and fill it up with actual intelligence.
Okay, so here's the absolute key idea. AlexNet doesn't just look at a picture of, say, a dog and instantly know that's a dog. That leap is way too big. Instead, it builds up its understanding step by step, kind of like climbing a ladder of abstraction. And what's wild is that this is surprisingly similar to how our own brains process vision. So check out this ladder. At the very bottom, the network is basically a baby. It's learning the absolute simplest things, the atoms of vision, if you will. We're talking simple edges, little blobs of color. Then it takes those atoms and starts building molecules, right? Combining those lines into basic shapes, corners, circles. From there, it learns to combine those shapes to see surfaces and textures. And then, those textures and shapes get combined into actual object parts, things like a dog's nose or the wheel of a car. And only then, at the very top, does the network put it all together to see the whole organism, the complete object.
So that's the what, the big picture idea. But what about the how? I mean, what's the actual engine that lets a machine, which only thinks in numbers, climb that ladder? Well, the core mechanism that drives this whole thing is something called convolution.
Let's make this simple. The best way to think about it is with the flashlight metaphor. Imagine you're in a pitch-black room, and in front of you is this huge, detailed painting. You can't see it all at once, right? All you have is a tiny flashlight. So what do? You slide that little beam of light across the canvas, piece by piece, to figure out what you're looking at. In AlexNet, this little flashlight is called a filter, and it scans the image in pretty much the exact same way. But here's the trick. This is no ordinary flashlight. It's a pattern detector. Imagine a flashlight that only turns on when it's pointed at, say, a perfect vertical line. You're scanning it over the painting, it's dark, 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 and then, bam! It hits the edge of a door frame and lights up, basically shouting to the rest of the network, hey, found a vertical line right here. And here's where it gets crazy. AlexNet doesn't just have one of these magic flashlights. In its very first layer, it learns to use 96 of them. You've got one filter that learns to find vertical lines, another one for horizontal lines, one for green splotches, another for 45-degree angles. It's literally forging this entire toolkit from scratch just by looking at data.
Another way to think about it, if the flashlight one doesn't click for you, is the sunglasses metaphor. It's like AlexNet puts on all 96 pairs of these special sunglasses at the same time. One pair only lets it see vertical stuff. Another pair only lets it see the color red. So when it looks at one image, it's actually creating 96 different versions of that reality, each one highlighting a totally different basic feature.
And you don't just have to take my word for it. Thanks to some really clever researchers who figured out how to peek inside the network's brain, we can actually see this ladder in action. Look here. Layer 1, just like we said, sees the basic atoms, edges, and colors. But then the next layer doesn't look at the original picture. No, it looks at the maps created by Layer 1, and it learns to combine those edges into corners and spirals. Then Layer 3 combines those into textures like mesh or fur. By Layer 4, you're seeing recognizable parts, dog faces, car wheels. And by Layer 5, boom, full objects.
Okay, so this architecture is frankly brilliant. But just having the structure isn't enough. For it to actually learn anything, the creators needed two more critical ingredients. These were the keys that really unlocked the whole thing and let the network train without, completely falling apart.
The first huge problem they had to solve was something called the vanishing gradient problem. The easiest way to get this is to think about the whisper game. Where one person whispers a message to the next and so on. Well, in old networks, the end of the network would figure out it made a mistake and whisper a correction to the layer before it. That layer would whisper it to the one before, but with each step, the whisper got quieter and quieter. By the time the message got all the way back to the first layers, the foundation of the whole system, it was totally gone. So those crucial first layers, they just never learned anything.
So, the solution? It was this ridiculously simple, almost elegant little thing called ReLU. See, the old way used a function called sigmoid, which was kind of like a weak spring. It absorbed most of the signal's energy. But ReLU acts like a perfect on-off switch. If the signal is positive, it passes right through, crystal clear. If it's negative, it just shuts it off. This tiny change meant that the correction signal could travel all the way back to the beginning without fading. And the result? AlexNet could train 6 times faster, a total game changer.
The second key ingredient is something called max pooling. And I love this. You can think of it as the art of aggressive forgetting. Basically, to know you're looking at a cat, you need to know that it has an ear, but you don't really care if that ear is at pixel 105 or pixel 108. So max pooling looks at a little patch of the image and just keeps the strongest signal. It basically reports back, yep, found a really strong cat ear-like curve somewhere in this general area. This makes the network way more robust, teaching it to care about what's there, not exactly where it is.
All right, so after 5 layers of this whole process, convolution, ReLU, pooling, over and over, the network has built up this incredibly rich, deep map of all the visual features in the image. It has gone from pixels to patterns. But now it needs to take that final step. It has to go from just seeing to actually knowing. So at this stage, the network takes everything it's learned, all those complex feature maps, and flattens them all out into one giant list of numbers. And I mean giant. We're talking over 9,000 numbers here. Each number represents how strongly it detected some high-level concept it found. A score for furriness, wheelness, metallic shine, and so on. And these final layers, they act like a jury. They're presented with this massive list of evidence, all 9,000 plus data points. And they have to weigh it all. The network has learned, through all its training, that high scores for fur texture, floppy ears, and snout shape are really strong evidence for a final verdict of dog. Meanwhile, a high score for has wheels is strong evidence against it being a dog.
And all of that deliberation leads to the final output, a clear, confident verdict expressed as probabilities. The system has successfully turned a messy grid of pixels into a pure, abstract idea. The evidence has been weighed, the jury is in, and the verdict is 95% probability it's a Dalmatian. Done.
I mean, this whole system, when you lay it out, it's just so logical, so elegant, right? It's a beautiful theory for how a machine could finally learn to see. But a theory is one thing. Actually building it is something else entirely. And in 2012, the reality of this beautiful architecture was an absolute monster.
Here's why. To get this thing to work, the network had to learn 60 million different parameters. Think about that. 60 million little knobs, and every single one needed to be tuned to the absolute perfect position. The sheer amount of number crunching required was just completely beyond what normal computers could do back then. It would have taken them years to train it.
So, how on earth did they do it? How did they take this beautiful, monstrous engine of an idea and find a power source big enough to actually run it? And not just run it, but run it in time for the competition deadline? Next time, we leave the elegant theory behind and get our hands dirty with the hardware. We're going to tell the story of the frantic race against the clock, the absolutely ingenious hack that involved performing what was basically split-brain surgery on the network to run it across 2 souped-up gaming GPUs, and how the insane pressure almost caused the whole project to fail, but instead, it ended up changing the world forever. You are not going to want to miss the finale.